Welcome into the Can We Kick It podcast. I'm your co-host Mike, along with Chuck here.
Hey, what's up, Mikey boy?
Not much, man. Good start to the year. Good shows going on. A lot of good stuff. I'm rewatching Severance today. Super excited for that second season to come out. A lot of news around White Lotus. Walter Goggins coming into play in the third season. How you doing, man? I'm pumped for TV.
Yeah, it's been a great second half of the year of 2023, and I think we're off to a good start with 2024 because we had, season finales of Fargo, season
Definitely.
finale of For All Mankind. We have the start of True Detective Night Country, which is wild. We'll talk about it in another episode.
Yeah.
But, this is a special episode. I'm pumped for that reason, too. So, can you explain what this is today?
Dude, we're doing our top. We're going to do our top shows of 2023. I've got 25 shows that I wrote down that I watched last year. I think we're going to really dive into what our top 10 is, but I've got several shows 11 through 25 that were some were tough to put it to leave out of the top 10 and some were like, yeah, okay. But this is our 100th episode, guys. We have been doing this for almost 2 years. 100th episode this will be releasing, and you know, you guys know we love TV. We watch so much TV. We decided to do a podcast about it. I'm really amazed that we've made it this far. I'm not gonna lie. We've done 100
Yeah.
episodes, and this is bangers.
Yeah, sometimes I think both of us give up on things. It's human nature, but we haven't let this die. So,
No, amazingly.
and all you bastards out there are stuck with us if you're listening. So,
That's
we
right.
ain't
You're gonna
going
get more of
nowhere.
us.
We're going to elevate our game in 2024.
That's right.
But when I was going through this list as well, I watched 30 shows, which I was almost, I think last year, 2022, I watched 50. So a drop,
Ooh, yeah.
but I think the content wasn't as good. And I have a list of shows, like I'm going to list real quick of shows that I didn't watch that came out this year that are highly recommended. So Primo, Electric Dream, Murder at the End of the World, Lessons in Chemistry, Hijack, Only Murders in the Building, The Curse, Reservation Dogs, The Last Season of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Fleischman is in Trouble, Rain Dogs, Copenhagen Cowboy, Daisy Jones and the Six, Bookie, Special Ops, and The Diplomat, right? Special Ops Lioness. So those are just shows I haven't watched that are either popular or critically acclaimed. So a little slow this year for me, but like I said, I watched 30 shows. We were talking right before the podcast. 8 shows I immediately locked in my top 10, and then everything else, the other 22 shows, I could have put at 8 and 9. Like there wasn't of what I watched. I think there was a solid greatness of 8, the great 8, not the hateful 8, but the great 8.
The great 8, for sure.
So it'd be interesting to see your list and how we differ and what other people have out there,
It's going to be interesting because I honestly I put together this list and I started it like 2 months ago, and then I started remembering some of the other shows I watched, and then last night I was looking it over and I was like, no, I think this show should go higher, and I think this, and I was just catching myself rearranging a lot of stuff, especially with we just finished some shows that are complete bangers like Fargo and stuff like that, and For All Mankind just ended as well. So I was trying to find where those fit in based on my excitement from earlier in the year, and it's like, oh my god, I got
Yeah.
to remember this stuff. But it was actually a fun exercise because I watched 25 shows. I'm sure there's some shows I forgot about that weren't memorable, but there were some shows like you mentioned that we didn't watch, like a lot of popular shows like Wednesday on Netflix. Didn't watch it.
Mm.
I watched Lioness on Paramount. It was actually a pretty good show. Another show I think came out last year that I watched with Jackie was The Citadel, which had
Yeah.
one of the Snows from Game of Thrones, and then one of the Jonas Brothers' wives. I can't remember either of their names for the moment, but it was actually not bad. But it got a lot of flack. So yeah, man, I'm right there with you. The top 10 pretty much was a lock. It was just where I had to pick where they landed within that. I knew right off the bat what was top 10. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you want to give me like your highlights of your 30 to 11, or if you want to just run through them, because I probably got some that you have as well.
Yeah, so like in my 11 through 30, so there's some shows on there that like American Horror Stories is, I don't know even to count it because it's like just half a season. It wasn't that great with Kim Kardashian. To me, it's kind of disappointing. Um, Murder in Boston, which is documentary, which was really good. I think Used to Leave with Tim Robinson, which is some of the funniest, sketch comedy or irreverent comedy.
Totally
100 Foot
agree.
Wave, which is one of my favorite shows, ever. Um, didn't make my top 10, which was tough, but
Wow.
Punked on Earth, The Big Door Prize, Poker Face, Hello Tomorrow, with that should have been way better. It was interesting, but Hank
It had
Azaria's
a
in
lot
it,
of hype.
which I think
Yeah.
Winning Time,
Yeah.
Ahsoka, Mandalorian didn't make my top 10, Shrinking, Jury Duty, White House Plumbers. And then I have, so my just outside of my top 10, which could have easily gone at number 8 or 9. I have The Gold, which was with Jack Loudon, from Slow Horses, which was good. It's kind of slow, but it's a slow, meandering, good story. True story about Brinks-Mat robbery in the UK. Silo didn't make my top 10, which was a good show. Um, Righteous Gemstones, which that I almost put that at number 10, but that was a great season. And then Ted Lasso didn't make my top 10. And to me, this was my least favorite season, and I kind of reflected that in my rankings. But going back, Blanc and I have been rewatching season 1. Season 1 is amazing. Like, it's just, it's
It's
such
head and
a,
shoulders, man. It's head and shoulders
yeah,
above the rest. It's unbelievable.
yeah. So that was that's my like honorable mentions.
Yeah, I've got
What
some
about you?
honorable mentions. Yeah, toward the bottom of the list, I watched How I Met Your Father. It was the second season. It was the last season they canceled it. Watched that with Jackie. Virgin River. It's a classic Netflix love show that guilty pleasure like to watch. The second and last season of Perry Mason was in the honorable mentions. Great, but didn't crack the top 10. You mentioned The Mandalorian, Shrinking, Jury Duty. I don't know if you mentioned Jack Ryan, but I had that in the honorable mentions. Um, as well as I had Ted Lasso down there, Ahsoka, and even the Frasier reboot, which it actually turned out to be better than I thought it would be. And then I have just outside the top 10, I have The Crown, the last season. It was really hard to leave that one out, but that's definitely the number one honorable mention. Amazing acting.
Yeah, I still need to watch that.
It's good. It's a slow burn, but it's good. I mean, the last season was unbelievable. Yeah. But that leads all into, I think pretty much some locks. You had Silo in your honorable mentions. I might have that in my top 10s. But I think we could run down these pretty easily and just give a quick, take on why we think it's great. How do you want to fire off with your number 10? And if I've
Yeah,
got it higher, we can hold off on it. If you got it higher, then we can
yeah,
hold off on it. Yeah.
sounds good. So my number 10 is For All Mankind.
Okay. Why you got
What
it at number 10?
do you have that?
Oh, I've got it at number 15. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's out. So I think I was gonna leave it out. Like I was gonna put Silo or The Gold, Righteous Gemstones ahead of it, but I just think after the finale, the finale reminds me why I love this show. Because they really know how to close a season and tease for the next season.
Yeah.
And this season was kind of like, but it's it's still it still just draws you in, some of the absurdity of it. And I'm just a sucker for space, so
Yeah.
I think that's what gets me. And we were both, we'll discuss this on a different podcast, but we were both wildly wrong of like people dying and all
Yeah.
this stuff at the finale. But
Yeah, our bets were way off. I did anybody like actually nobody actually died in the finale. It's
No,
hilarious.
like
What is
no,
it turning into a Marvel movie now? Like nobody
yeah,
dies?
no.
Yeah, I
Like
had
every
it.
year, multiple people die in the finale.
Yeah, there's always
Um,
some huge cataclysmic event at the end of each season. But I agree. I did. It didn't crack my top 10. It was an okay season considering the previous three seasons.
yeah,
The ending was somewhat anticlimactic, but I love how they do tease for the next season because we talked about that in another episode. But the show just it wasn't up to snuff to what it used to be.
yeah,
I'm looking forward to next season if it gets confirmed to be renewed. It has yet to be confirmed.
yeah. I'm kind
But
of
yeah,
curious if it is going to get renewed
yeah,
because,
they could kind of just leave it where it is
yeah,
with how it ended.
yeah,
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 but didn't crack my top 10.
yeah. Not surprising. I kind of tend blank for multiple weeks, and then that was kind of like a today decision.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what's your top? What's your number 10?
I've got number 10. I've got Loki on Disney.
Ah, so I never watched that. So give me a reason why I should watch it.
Uh, great. It's a great show about character development and really understanding like the Marvel multiverse and things like that. And yeah, there's issues with, Jonathan Majors, got let go by Marvel and things like that. But I think it's Tom Hiddleston. I think, it plays Loki, just is crushing it as an actor right now. And the ending is really heartfelt and the character development. Plus, what's his name? Uh, Double O Negative from the Goonies. I can't remember his name. Kiwi Kwan, who won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, has a character in the show, and so it's really cool to see him in that. But it was a great end to the series. I believe it was the last season, so I just enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think instantly comes to mind for me. Loki is Bartleby and Loki from Dogma, Kevin Smith
Right?
movie. But
Yeah,
I think um, that's Matt Damon, and I think that's Matt Damon and
it's the
Ben
yeah Flack.
Affleck.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm not a big Marvel person, so I haven't seen a lot. But
yep,
it does. But I may have
it's
to
a good
check
one.
it out.
Yeah, would you have at number 9?
Number 9, I had Black Mirror.
Did not make my top 10.
Did you watch? So I watched all 5 episodes. Uh,
I think I did.
there's some really good ones in there,
Yeah.
and for me, Black Mirror as a concept is why I put it in 10 because there's nothing really like it on TV. And the first one had Michael Cera, which was great. The first one this season,
Yes,
it
that's
was
right.
it was a show within a show within a show, and
Inception,
it
baby.
was just like real time Netflix following someone around. Like it's just so well done. It's so realistic. At first, it seemed so far fetched, and now
Oh
everything is just
yeah,
something that could happen now.
because even the second
So
episode was like Lock Henry, which was like a
yeah,
murder in Scotland or what. Like, oh yeah, dude,
yes,
that was a great season. That was a great season. Yeah,
yeah, and it was like the mom or like it was
yeah,
or it was fucking wild. Like
it was crazy.
the third episode was like Manson-esque murder of like half robot, half human people, or like a surrogate for astronauts that are on the like moon, and they come home and like they go back and forth.
Yeah,
Um,
Aaron
it's
Paul and
just
I can't remember the other guy's name, but yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
that was a
It,
great episode too. Yeah,
so I mean, for me, it's so different than everything else on my list. Like I said, I think our 10 through 6 are going to be like I don't think we're going to have any of the same shows on there.
I can agree.
I think we're going to have one.
Yeah,
What is your number 9?
Righteous Gemstones. You,
Yeah, great show, great season.
it didn't crack your top 10, right?
It would be my number 11 probably.
Yeah, yeah,
But in retrospect, it could easily fit in the top
it's
like
tough.
6 through 10.
Yeah, the like 6 through like 13 are all divided. Like they're all within like a point of each other. It's at like point one,
Yeah.
of each other. But Gemstones, I'm a sucker for Walton Goggins and Uncle Baby Billy and just his most ridiculous shit. And like his opening scene for this season was him singing "There Will Come a Payday" down at Zion's Landing. Dude, just hilarious.
This season was probably some of the wildest shit
Yeah,
in any season. And just from the militia with Steve Zahn, the cousins.
we still quote, "Gotta get fucking Ruby Ridge down here." Like,
Yeah. Gonna get Ruby Ridge, this motherfucker. Like, it's just really the only. It's definitely the best comedy of the year. I mean, like pure comedy. Succession, The
yeah,
Bear, Barry is like dramedy,
yeah,
you
dark
know?
comedy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gemstones is like the only true comedic show that's on
Yeah,
that we're watching.
it's old school comedy.
Yeah,
Just it's the whole I think we talked about when we talked about Gemstones, Jody Hill, um, Danny McBride, just what they do really well.
so good. Yeah. Yeah, the militia, and they're out there singing all the Golden California as a bank in Beverly Hills. Dude, that shit is so funny that they write all that stuff. I don't know if the next season is going to be the last one, but everything that they do is just gold, man. Between your background with Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, and it's just, they can't lose, man.
Yeah. Like I this week I just went back and watched season 2 of Eastbound and Down, which is the background behind Kenny Powers in Mexico for like 7 episodes. It's some of the most ridiculous stuff you ever see. There's a part where it's like, I think it's Michael Pena, who's the owner of the Charos. Great actor, many movies, Traffic. He was in Chips with Dak Shepard, but that's not a great movie. But excellent actor. And him and Kenny Powers are having a fight about something, and Michael Pena's got a ninja sword, and Kenny's got his laptop, and he's like, they're like this. He's like, not my spreadsheets, like, and then, but then like they're talking shit, and then I've been waiting for this, a goddamn Mexican standoff in fucking Mexico, like, and it's like it's just like the writing is magnificent. It's just spot on with like,
It's so good.
it's just so funny, and the fact that
Yep.
like in Righteous Simpsons you've got Adam Devine, um, John Goodman, Edie Patterson, the guy who plays BJ.
Yep.
This season you had um, the Wooey Sucker, which is
Oh yeah, yeah, guy.
Nucky Thompson's brother, and
Yeah. I should know that guy's name. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. He's in
but
everything and we like him.
yeah, and it's got like I mean, Walton Goggins, the acting world class,
Yeah.
So
So funny, man.
great
What
show.
yeah, what'd you have at number 8?
So number 8, I have another show that you're not going to have, but Somebody Somewhere, which it
Mm.
was a second season that is confirmed for season 3, and it had like a snippet in the HBO promo of all their shows for 2024, along with Industry, which was one of my favorites in 2022. But Somebody Somewhere is a show about kind of outcasts becoming friends. Um, takes place in Manhattan, Kansas, so a lot of Kansas State stuff, but it's really just about outcasts trying to fit in or trying to be themselves with other outcasts, and tragedy, and it's just like life. So
Mm.
that's what's fascinating is it's just life, and I've told many people about it, and most people that have started it, like, it wasn't for me. But I don't know. It's just It's very heartwarming, but it's very well done. I think it's the Duplass brothers show as well.
Oh yeah,
Mark and Jay Duplass, who have done really good work, but um, it's really good. It's really heartwarming, and it's just fun. Like it's funny, but also kind of like just life.
nice.
So
I'll have to give it a watch. Yeah,
yeah, it's good, and it's 30-minute episodes, nice and easy.
nice.
What's your number 8?
I had Silo at number 8 on Apple TV. The show was wild, man. It was outside your top 10, right?
Yeah, it was just outside.
Yeah. Original show. I read the book like around the same time or just after. No, it was like during the show, I think.
Well, the book only
And
came out like a few years ago, right? Or like,
yeah, it's fresh content. Like it was like 2020, I think, is when it came out. Just an original show with Jessica. I think Jessica Ferguson. I think is her name. Um, or Rebecca. I can't
Common.
remember. Yeah, Common. The sheriff. I can't remember his name. I can't remember names, but the show was amazing with it being built inside a silo, and you're assuming like the world outside has been like just destroyed, and people go outside and like die. Such a great original concept. I mean, yeah, it's been redone in time and time before, but this was a really cool way to look at it. And like poverty versus wealth, high up versus deep down, not as so much like dystopian line crossing, borders drawn, but pretty close. So
Yeah.
that was a great show, man.
The
Would you
ending
have it?
is like
Yeah. Oh,
I I love like the first 3 episodes and then the last 2 or 3. They got really soft and mushy in the middle, but
yeah.
the beginning and the end, the finale was fucking fantastic.
It's killer, man. So
I
good.
can't wait
Yeah.
till season 2. I think it's going to be um you say is there 3 books or
Yeah. There's 3 books. Yeah.
but
Wool,
this isn't
Shift, and Dust. Yeah.
yeah. And it was so I was so wrong about what happened that what's
Yeah.
the reveal is at the end.
Yeah. And the first season doesn't even like cover the first book. Like there's so much more content in the first book. It's going to be great to see what they do with the next season. So I think they can stretch it for a few seasons as long as they don't get soft on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good one. What was your number 7?
My number 7 was The Last of Us.
I had that higher.
Okay, all right, we'll skip that for now. What was your number 7?
My number 7 was This Season of Slow Horses.
Oh, so I have that higher. So
All right. All right. I like it. I like it. What was your number 6?
my number 6 is Beef.
Beef. I did not watch Beef. Tell me about it.
Beef is
Won a ton
fucking
of
awesome.
Emmys just recently. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh Bill Hader's girlfriend, Ali Wong. Um sorry, I didn't want to do her like that, but she's really great. Stephen Yun, David Show. It's basically a road rage incident that changes their lives forever. Like Ali Wong cuts off Stephen Young, and it just spirals from there. Like, and it be there's a 10 episodes of like it just devolves, but it gets better and better as you get into the lives and how the situation affects and how it brings them together. Um, I think it's also 30-minute episodes, so um we bag on Netflix a lot, but this was Netflix and it was really good. So um it's definitely I fought against watching this for a while because it's so popular and critically acclaimed, and when everybody's talking about it, it tends to turn me off on, you know, like that's why I still haven't seen Yellowstone. Now that it's kind of quieted down the hype on that, I may start watching it, you know, because
Yeah. Now that it's coming to a close and Kevin Costner's taking an exit, I might get into it about mid-year here once everybody stops talking about it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
but
I had the
definitely
same. I had the same problem with Beef. Everybody was yakking about it. I didn't want to watch it, but Ali Wong is up and coming, man. Like she did that Netflix movie, Always Be My Maybe, hilarious. Had Keanu Reeves in it as himself. It's great.
Yeah, and she's really good in this. And Stephen Yeun, I mean, is in Walking Dead and other in
Yeah,
um Parasite. There's another show he was in that was good. So I mean, he's been in. He's really good, and it was very good.
nice.
So,
That
what
was your number
was your number
6, yeah,
6? Yeah,
yeah.
what was your
My
number
number
6?
6, I had the final season of Barry.
I have it higher, so
Good,
we will go
good.
from there.
And number 5.
Number 5, I have Slow Horses.
Okay, cool.
So,
Tell me
so
about Slow Horses.
interesting enough, we're gonna be our yeah, I thought our top 5 was gonna be similar, but we're already gonna
I
be
think
2 off. So
I think our top 4 is pretty much going to be the exact same stuff.
no, it's not.
Wow.
You had one. You had one of my top 5 shows at number 6 or 7, whatever, or
Yeah.
Barry, wherever you had Barry.
Yeah.
Uh, um, yeah. So it should be interesting. Now I'm kind of concerned with where you're going. Um, but 5 is Slow Horses. Um, I just think if you take any British MI5 or crime drama, and you said, let's create the perfect show. You have 6 episodes and handpick your actors and come up with the best show possible. That's what Slow Horses is.
Yeah.
There's also, it's so similar and formulaic to other British crime shows, but in the end, it's so different because it's got Gary Oldman and
Yeah.
Jack Lowden. But
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, number 1. And Kristen Scott Thomas. I mean, you got
Yeah.
2 world-renowned actors, and all Kristen Scott Thomas
Jonathan
does
Price
is, yeah, Jonathan Price too. Like he was in
is
like 3
Loudon's
scenes this
grandfather.
season,
Yeah.
and Kristen Scott Thomas just didn't leave the park. Just sat in her office like and talked, and that's the beauty of the show is like Gary Oldman this season. I mean, he does some dirty work, but you can name Jonathan Price and Kristen Scott Thomas and be like, "Hey, come in for like 3 days, sit in a chair, you know, read some lines, and you're done." You know,
Yeah.
but it's just I love how succinct the seasons are, and that they're as one is playing on Apple TV, they're like filming another one and writing the next one. Like
Yeah.
it's just a machine, and
They
they do such a
they
good
have
job.
it figured out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that show, man, the writer of the books, I can't remember his name at this point, but
yeah,
Mark Herron, I think. Um, take 007. Who doesn't like 007, right? Now, you still have the Park and MI5 that does everything at the top level, and then you got schmucks below that. And so even while like Slow Horses are screwing up all the time, you still have the chess match going on by the elites. That is Kristen Scott Thomas and the other woman who's first desk, and just they're going back and forth. And Gary Oldman is this guy who used to play the game that's sitting on the sideline, who's like, "You're all a bunch of idiots, but I'm gonna fix it all." It's just, dude, it's so great. No
yeah,
detail is wasted. Everything that they do is
yeah.
used in the show.
Yeah, even this season, they bring back Charles Patton as
Yeah,
like it was a point of contention in the finale with Standish and um, Lamb. So like it's all woven together. But even then, you could watch each season without knowing what happened in the other season because as
yeah,
a standalone, it's like even as we get. I'm sure we get to Fargo later. Like,
Yeah.
same thing. You can watch each. I think this may be the first season that there wasn't a tie-in to the other seasons, but
Yeah.
or at least not that wasn't obvious. But
Yeah. Just
you
the
can watch
diamond. Yeah.
seasons separately. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's,
So
it's,
that's
it's, it's such a good show. It's, classic British show, six episodes, all like an hour long. And then like once that like we were blown away when the first season ended, right? And it was like
yeah,
scenes for season two, and it was already done. And then
yeah,
we got
yeah.
season two like 6 months later. They figured out the formula. I wish everybody else would do that, but when you got the content that laid out, it's pretty hard to do.
What's your number five?
My number five is The Last of Us,
Hmm. So
and
that
you've
was
got
my
that
number
higher.
seven.
Oh, that was your number seven, yeah.
Yeah.
So, dude, it's just
Talk about it.
the video game was unbelievable. It was groundbreaking when it came out. Then they took the aggressive step to try to make a TV show out of it, and it actually was very well received, highly praised. Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, a lot of other side characters and supporting actors and actresses that just blew the show away. Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett. I mean, they were both at the Emmys. Nick Offerman won Best Supporting Actor or guest
Guest
actor on
appearance
a
on it. Yeah.
yeah. And it's just that you could have taken just the writing on that show was so great. You could have just taken the episode of Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett as Frank and Bill, and it could have just been its own show. I mean, the
Yeah.
writing
It
on
could
the
have been
show
a
was
movie.
unbelievable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane. But yeah, following like the zombie fallout, which is they're called clickers, I think on the show. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Wasn't very creature heavy, and it was a lot about the rest of the world, and trying to figure out how to navigate through the territory. I mean, it was a banger of a show, surprisingly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was carried out very well, adapting from video game. My number four
Yeah.
is Fargo. Do you have that higher?
No, we're right on track, man. Fargo season 5, number 4. All right.
I think if we do this maybe in 2024, it may be number one. I think two of the three shows we have left after Fargo, we're gonna have the same two out of the three. But it it may you I'll let you cook on Fargo because it's really not a hot take after how it ended, but
I called it early. It was like 3 or 4 episodes left in the season, and I went to Chuck and Marcus, our buddy from work that also watches Fargo, and I said, hot take, this may be the best season ever of Fargo, and I think it turned out to be. I think you guys might agree. I don't think Marcus has piggybacked off of that yet, but I know you might agree with that. Just the show is back on track with where they started with this anthology, the weirdness of it, the supernatural part of it. John Hamm, Juno Temple, all these huge actors coming into the show and just knocking the lights out, and having the weirdness of old Munch and his background and where the
Monk,
show is going. Yeah,
Monk,
Ola Monk. Yeah,
Orla Monk.
and like it's of course set in the Midwest and Fargo and Minnesota and all this stuff. And Lamorne Morris plays Whitfar, Officer Whitfar.
Yeah.
It was a crazy show. I mean, give your take on it. It just
So
ended, so it's like fresh in my mind.
yeah, and so like this was we were deciding whether we're gonna have this one in. The same with same with For All Mankind, because both of them ended in 2024, but the majority of the episodes take place in 2023. But with Fargo, what I really loved about this season, and I think I'm kind of I think 2 and 5 are tied, and then 1, 3, and 4. But I think almost and there's a little recency bias. So it'll be interesting if we go back and watch all 5 seasons in like 6 months and then
Yeah.
see how we rank it. But the beauty of, without giving too much away of the finale, because like I said, it just came out, is it was true Fargo. It
Yeah.
was a lot of people, I was reading a lot of Reddit and stuff about the finale, and they're like, I wish the shootout scene was longer, and I wish they focused more on that, and like they wanted to see more dead, um, more dead ranchers or more of the like to see that scene played out. But that's not Fargo. Like the violence in Fargo is what John Hamm did in this episode, and what
Yeah,
Juno Temple did in this episode, and what it's not like just over the top gun battles. I mean, there was gun battles in season 2 and at the motel, but then an alien comes out of I mean, then like a spaceship comes down. Like,
I almost said
it's,
it's like real. It's like when you were saying that, I was like, it's like reality. And then you said the spaceship thing, which was hilarious. But like, it's not like, it's not like Heat, where it's just like a gun battle in the
yeah.
streets of Los Angeles. It's actually just, it's like dudes who like are gonna die. Like John Hamm, like thinks he's gonna die at the end of this episode. I mean, it's crazy. That's not giving anything
Well,
away, but like he's like going headlong into it.
in the philosophies of everybody from John Hamm to his character in here, and then Ola Munch, everybody, Ola Monk and Juno Temple and um, her mother-in-law,
Jennifer Jason Lee. Yeah.
everybody has a code. They all have their code and ethics, and they stick by it for the most part. And some are willing to die for it, and some are not. Um, the interesting piece to me was the last, what, 20, 30 minutes of it with um with how it turned out.
Yeah.
Um was was like my favorite part of the season.
Totally
Um
agree.
so beautiful. And just reality. Um and not, I mean, not necessarily reality, because when Monk starts talking about like,
Yeah. His
you know,
background. Yeah.
but just him talking, I could listen to a show of him talking about the freaking um coming over in a longboat, and a
Dude,
man
just him
stays silent for 100 years, and like
him doing the weather would be unbelievable. The Moors is cold.
it's just
it's
fascinating.
it's true Cohen brothers dialogue behind
Yeah,
all of that. He reminded me so much with his code, right? Of wanting to, extract the debt, after Temple attacked him in the beginning of the
yeah,
season. But it reminded me so much of No Country for Old Men and Anton Chigurh and his like code of like you made me do this, so you're gonna pay for it, and like writing that all the way out through the end. He promised he'd kill somebody, and then all the way through
yeah,
the end of the movie, he fucking does. Like the
yeah,
the the cool part of the Coen brothers is like, especially in this season, it's like an immovable object, which is Ola Monch, and an
yeah,
unstoppable force in Juno Temple, and like them colliding, and then it all culminating in like the last 30 minutes of that show. It was
yeah,
bangers.
yeah. No, and I think it's a testament to that show and Noah Hawley and
Yeah.
pulling for the Coen brothers. And I've never seen uh, um No Country for Old Men, and I'm gonna see it here
You
soon,
gotta.
because
Yeah.
there's so many. And when you talked, it was on Reddit too, what you told me last night about the similarities, and many people thought that same thing was going to happen that happened at the end.
Yeah.
um but I was listening um to a interview with Noah Hawley about the end and how they came up with it, and they didn't know they were going to do that. kind of what to do with Monk, like how to close it out. And
Yeah.
he basically thought like, what if we do something that's like No Country for Old Men, but make it different,
Yeah.
And um, so I think they did a good job um of that. So
Yeah, you got to watch that because there's a lot of characteristics with Munch and um
Monk,
Monk, uh just so crazy, like ethics and morals and what people see as like their
yeah,
code between debt collecting and stuff like that. Just if you love the ending of Fargo season 5, you're gonna love the ending of No Country for Old Men. It's so good. But
yeah,
people can catch the end of that discussion on the previous episode where we talk about the end of Fargo. But
yeah,
we're getting into our top three, so it'll be interesting to
yes,
see where yours lie. I these were
yeah.
for sure locks, and I kind of changed. I tweaked. I think number one stayed where it was, no matter what. But I think 2 and 3 flip flopped. What was your number three?
My number three was Succession.
Oh wow. Okay, I have
Do
that
you have it higher?
higher. I have it higher.
All right. What was your number three?
The White Lotus.
Was the White Lotus this year?
That it was.
All right. Well,
Let
I
me
have
let
that
me.
on my
Judges rolling.
list.
Let me double check.
I read somewhere that was 2022.
It was 2022. Wow. Kick my
Yeah.
own ass. All right, take that out.
Hey,
All right.
we all learn.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll just move the crown up to number 10. All right. So my number three would have been Fargo. Fine. Whatever. All right.
All right. So my number three is Succession. Yours will was higher than that. So
Yep.
my number two
Yeah.
was The Bear.
Oh, same.
Yeah. So tell us why we like The Bear.
The Bear
I
is a
think you and I
show
have
that,
two. You and I have two back episodes that I think is my favorite and your favorite. We have two different ones, but they're back to back. But The Bear
they're
is a
back to
show
back.
that
Yeah. The Bear is a show that some people will enjoy watching it. It is, for whatever reason, in a comedy category on the Emmys. I guess it's a dark comedy. And as Fax said during the Emmys the other night, it's a show that might trigger people, might cause anxiety in other people. And
is
it's a
he
show.
a producer or something, or is he the creator? Like, why is he was he talking?
I think he's the actual. I think he's the only actual chef like in the cast. I don't
He's
know.
funny. Like
Yeah,
Blanca was like, is he a character in the show? I'm like, a
right.
minor one. Like, I don't know why he's talking about the
He's
award,
definitely like
but
on the outer circle. He's not in the core. Like, yeah, he's definitely on the outer circle. But the first season was you get to understand like this like sandwich, this beef shop in Chicago, and the dysfunctionality behind it, and the main character, Jeremy Allen White wanting to change things after his brother died, and this season was really about character development. And
yeah,
Chuck's favorite episode is an episode called Forks, and mine is the episode, I think
yes,
it's before that, called Fishes. And
fishes, yeah,
they're exact opposites of each other, where Fishes is loud and chaotic and like hectic, and Forks is very calm and focused and purpose driven. It like one is about like their past, like why they are who they are, and the other is about becoming who you want to be, and change. And that's really the whole core of the show, is about change and be
yeah,
developing and becoming a better person. Um, Won a ton of Emmys as well. Ebon Moss-Bachr won. I think that was for season one. Um,
yeah.
and I think he in fact shared a kiss at the end of the award during their presser in the back, which was hilarious.
No, it was during the when they went up on stage.
Was it?
As he, yeah. So we were watching it at the time because this is like I think it was Monday night on MLK. Like 9 o'clock, Blanca was like, "Isn't the Emmys on?" I was like, "Oh yeah," because I was watching football, I think. And then so we put it on, and then watched like the last hour, and they win the award. The Bear wins the award, and Fox goes up there to talk with all the cast, and Evan Moss-Baccarat like goes up to him and just kisses him for like 15 seconds.
Yeah,
Like it's fucking hilarious.
it was
Like,
great.
and then he just starts talking about, and yeah, I just read Matheson is the actor who plays Fox,
Yeah,
and he's like a famous Canadian chef, and um, like is a real restaurant person. So,
yeah.
um, but it seems kind of wild. So, um, yeah, but that show's about another show that I think I like so much is like Somebody Somewhere, but on crack, because it's about family, and it's about friendships, and it's about survival and dealing with trauma and tragedy, and in the Bear season 2, which we're ranking here, while the new restaurant is the opening night, and Carmi's in the freezer.
Yeah.
It's locked, but it's like, is that self-sabotage because he's afraid of success? Um,
He was the one
or afraid of
responsible for
failure.
having the door fixed, and he just put it off. Like it's all this like
Yeah,
subconscious self sabotage. It's amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, you were saying.
No, no, but he's so good because like I watched like the first 5 or 6 seasons of Shameless,
Yeah.
and he's so good in that as well.
Yeah.
Jeremy Allen White. So it's just a great show, and it's I think last year we had season 1 in our top 10, probably
Yep.
top 5. Season 2
Yep.
this year, I have number 2, and it just you had yours number 2 as well, right?
With
Yeah.
taking out White
Or
Lotus, it is number 2 now. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I can't say too much. So there's so much to say about the Bear, but you know, this it's growing in popularity. The first season didn't have a lot of cameos. This season had cameos, and they were used properly. They weren't just like pop-ins. Like the
yeah,
Fishes episode had Bob Odenkirk and John Bernthal
John
and all these other
Mulaney,
people. John
John
Mulaney is
Bernthal,
just
yeah,
like so like you're like, where did this come from? So they know how to use actors, and the writing is spot on.
yeah,
So for me, number 2 show of the year, bangers.
yeah. And this is another one that could be number 1 in a different year. So,
Yep.
so I'll give you my number 1 because I know what your number 1 is now. My
Yep.
number 1 was Barry, and
Oof.
you had that number 6, where I for sure thought you were in the top 5, but I think season 4 of Barry is one of the best seasons of TV. It's super fucking dark. It's not.
It
It
is.
didn't even become a comedy, but I was telling, and so when I recommend a show, like I'll stick by it. So like friends and family will ask me, "What should I watch?" or "What are you talking about on the pod? What are you watching?" So I was talking to my brother and his girlfriend Kelly about, they're like, "What do we watch? We've been watching this and this and this." So I said, "Watch Barry." Well, so I said, "Somebody Somewhere, Barry." I give him a list. And I said, "But Barry is like, every year is on my top 5." And I was like, "It's probably going to be my number 1." And so they watched it, and they finished it over the last like couple months. And it's one of those shows where they're like, the first season was pretty good, but then every season got better. And you rarely find that in shows where the trajectory is just a constant, you know, arrow upwards. And I
Yeah.
think this was it. And I think Bill Hader basically did was in charge of the direction, in charge of everything. And he told the story that he wanted to tell. And I think he said this on podcasts I listened to, is a different story than he set out to tell. But
Interesting.
sometimes what makes a great show is when you adjust, just like in life, we make subtle adjustments here and there, and our paths always take different ways. And I think Barry's did the same. and just it's I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's kind of like same thing with The Bear because people talk about they tried to watch the first season of The Bear and a couple episodes and they couldn't get into it. And I'm like, you got to watch like the first two, and when you get to the second one and you get to like 6 and 7, you get to um fishes and forks, and you're like, holy shit, this is like what
Yeah.
TV's about. And that's like to me as Barry went along, like season 3 and 4 is like this is what TV should. This is why you pay for HBO. This is why you watch shows on here because
I don't want to say
it,
it's why cable television is dead, but everything that's pretty good is 90% on streaming platforms. Just saying.
yeah, yeah. But if
Yeah.
you think of prestige shows,
Yeah.
you think of HBO.
Yeah.
Now for us, it's on Max, but like a lot of people still have regular TV and are watching HBO Sunday nights, um, and I think this was, you know, there was a time this year where it was House of the Dragon, Righteous Gemstones, Barry, and 100 Foot Wave like on one Sunday night, like,
Yeah.
and maybe House of Dragon wasn't on, but like there was 3 shows back to back where I'm just like I was watching 100 Foot Wave at like 7 o'clock live on HBO on Sunday, and then 8 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock, and you're like, oh my god, this is like the best night ever. I'm not leaving. I'm watching
Yeah.
TV from 7 to 10.
And then
So
HBO all of a sudden just took a nosedive and there was
then
nothing on
then
Sunday night.
after all that ended, it's like let's put on the Idol with fucking The Weeknd, and
Yeah.
he's like, woo,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, you went from
back.
Succession, The Last of Us, Barry, Righteous Gemstones, 100 Foot Wave. Like almost there's almost 10 shows that were all going on at the same time and they were
White
all on
House
HBO.
Plumbers,
White House
which
Plumbers, which
we
did
is
not
not
make
top 10.
I yeah, I should put that
But
in there. That was definitely a banger. Yeah.
it's like Sunday night shows HBO. That's what they're known for, and they really. I don't think they set out with Barry for that. Somebody Somewhere is also on HBO. Like that's an HBO show, and it's one of their low budgets, but there's a reason why it's there versus Netflix or
Yeah.
somewhere else because it's their HBO does a good job of content. At least they did. Now, hopefully, this year they're coming back because now you have True Detective Sunday night, which we'll talk about, which we talked about in our last episode as well with
Yeah.
For All Mankind. So bangers, bangers on bangers. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, Barry was really great. I love Bill Hader, Saturday Night Live, all of that stuff. And then he takes this dark comedic turn, brings in
yeah,
Henry Winkler, who just steals the show. And the last season was just really dark, but really great. I mean, NoHo Hank, Anthony Kerrigan, the
yeah.
cartel thing going on, and then him just trying to
It,
live a normal life in like Kansas or Kentucky or wherever the hell it was, and like him being pulled back into the life.
well,
And it's just
they got
amazing.
two words: the Raven.
The
Like
Raven.
gave you the fucking Raven. It's
Yeah.
Stephen Root with tatted up and
And you can't
oh
forget the hitman while he was in prison. That guy's here to kill me. Oh my god. He's another SNL
yeah,
alum.
Fred
Jesus.
Armisen.
Fred Armisen. Yeah. Love the cameo. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad Bill Hader was just given free reign pretty much to do whatever he wanted, tell the story he wanted, because it worked out. It's definitely top 10 show, probably of all time. I mean, it's killer. Yeah.
Now let's talk about your number one.
So my number one, you had it further down your list. I don't remember what number you had it at, but mine was
3.
Succession. Yeah. It was hard to dethrone Succession. Stellar cast. I mean, obviously wins Emmys, Brian Cox, Jeremy Strong, Matthew McFadden, Sarah Snook, Kieran Culkin, Nicholas Braun. Just hilarious and fucked up and family dynamics of a billionaire company. Um, I remember getting into the show before it was hot and watching the first season, and then it just grew and
Yeah.
grew and grew. And this season, had to deal with, whether or not Logan was going to die and Brian Cox exiting the show and all this stuff and where it would go and the emotional turn that it took. And it was just, I don't know, just seeing these people just try to take control and it's all for their dad's love. And in reality, like who was the winner at the end of that? Like in the family, it was fucking great. And then you have like
Nobody.
Connor. Yeah, it was just
Nobody
so
was a
good.
winner. And I think
No,
that was the interesting part about the show is that you think money solves everything, right? And I always joke with Blanca, I'm like, yeah, if I had all the money, then my life would be easier. It's like, oh, you just have a different set of problems. I'm like,
right,
yeah, that's fine. I just buy my way out of problems,
right.
right? Like,
It's like a tax
um,
bracket. You're just in a different problem bracket. Yeah,
yeah. And the funny thing is, like, at the end of the show, and I think this was hard not to have it number one for me, but I just, I mean, if you compile all four seasons, and I rewatched them many times, it's fantastic, and season
yeah.
4 is great. But the beauty of it is, at the end, none of the kids were winners, and they spent their whole life aiming for that. But at the end, they're even though they're not winners, they're still winners because they still have boatloads of money, and
Billions of dollars.
that's why, like, I think they ended the show when they were I was listening to an interview from um was it I'm blanking on the creator of the show,
Oh, Jesse
um
Armstrong. Yeah,
Jesse Armstrong, talking about it. It's like we could have done another season, but because it doesn't end for them there. They're all depressed and this, but guess what? Kendall will start some company,
his
you know,
sub-Saharan news
uh,
station. North Sahara, South Sahara.
uh Sarah, Shiv will go back into politics. Um, Kieran Culkin's character will go or like just fuck off and travel the world and then, do something. So the family is still fine,
Yeah,
like,
they all lived.
yeah. So it's kind of like they never had any, they weren't, I think we've talked about this when we talked about it this year in season 4 on our pods about it. If you combine all 3 kids, or even 4 with Connor, you get 1 Logan. None of them were equipped to run the company.
No,
So now I argue that Tom is equipped to run the company because I don't think he's equipped to run the company either. But
he's got strings, man. He's a puppet. Yeah,
but he can do what the board tells him to do. So
yeah, yeah. He's
the
going to
kids
answer to
wouldn't do that.
Skarsgård. Yeah, at the end of the
Yeah,
day. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. It was a wild series. The season was the ender. It was crazy with Logan dying and all that stuff. But it's so the top three. It's so hard to rank those individually. I just between the Bear and Fargo and Succession for me, those were my top three. They were all killers.
yeah,
Any
yeah,
year on their own, they could be number one.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Anything else? This is always my favorite episode of the year
I
to
agree.
do our top 10 list. So
Yeah, we do what we for those who don't know, we do a top 10 at the end beginning of the year, and then mid year we do a check in to see what so far
yeah,
is our top. So it'll be interesting to see where True Detective Night Country lands on that. And some other shows that come out this year, like Outer Range, is supposed to come out this year. It's gonna be
I
so
can't
weird, but I
wait for
can't
that.
wait.
I cannot wait for Outer Range. There's so
It's so
like
good.
True Detective Night Country, like off to a good start. No clue what's going on. Oh,
No clue.
we talked about it. But
Yeah,
there's some good stuff coming out.
yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I always enjoy this part of the year, and as this is our 100th episode, it was really great to look back at the year that we had, because we had
yeah.
some really bangers of shows this year, and it was good to talk about them and go through them and digest them. Because I like to watch a show and then dive into it, go on Reddit and all that stuff. So I really appreciate having a sparring partner to go back and forth because we don't have the
Yeah.
same ideas all the time. And your ideas are you'll throw something out there and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even think of that. So it's really
This,
great that we're coming up on our 2 year anniversary and this is our 100th episode.
yeah, and this may be the most diverse top 10 list that we've had.
I think
I
so.
mean, you did have one show from 2022 in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's good because we have a diverse. We talk about the same, we talk about the same shows, but we do have a diverse subset of things we watch. We have our guilty pleasure stuff,
Yeah.
and just other shows that maybe fit our personalities, which that may be different. So, we just like to help guide people into what we think they may like or what we like, and it may not be what you like, but we like it.
That's right.
And sometimes you have to appreciate the beauty of a show versus, I think that's where it depends how you watch TV. Some people watch it for like a show that's just going to be happy and close out. But like for an art, like a show like Fargo and the
Yeah.
finale, like the finale was like a Picasso painting.
Yeah.
It was just perfect.
Yeah.
And I was reading Reddit comments and going like, people are like, that was dumb, or that was not what I was expecting, or they should have focused on the shootout more. They should have done. It's like, if you're, to me, if these are your comments, you don't understand what Fargo is, like,
Exactly.
so what we love to bring to the table on the show, just like our thoughts, which sometimes we're way off, but we like having fun and talking about it. So
That's right.
we're
That's the
glad
fun part.
that we're glad that whoever's listening is listening, and
Yeah.
if this is the first time listening, we're glad you joined us on our 100th episode. So
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate everybody for kicking it with us this week. Check out the other episodes. Last week we talked about the end of For All Mankind and the end of Fargo and things like that. So be sure to check in next week. We'll be talking True Detective, Night Country, and some other shows that are coming up. So check out that. Check out the website kickingitmedia.com, and as from the Bear cousin likes to say,
cousin, peace.